Sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com.
Hi, Eric McClanahan with No Rest for the Weekend here. I am talking to some of the talent behind the film House of Ashes that is at the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival right now. I am joined by co-writer and director Izzy Lee,
Hello.
star Fayna Sanchez,
Hello.
and star Vincent Stalba.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Thank you guys all for being here today. I'd really like to just jump right in and break down the film. First off, for people who aren't aware of what House of Ashes is, maybe Vincent, could you give us your elevator pitch synopsis of the film House of Ashes?
The character follows Mia. She's recently under house arrest for potentially killing her husband and having a tragic miscarriage. And she's dealing with isolation, manipulation, and paranormal and supernatural activities.
Izzy Lee, you co-wrote this film with Steve Johansson, and you directed it. And I think a really fascinating part about the film is that law that is standing in the film that miscarriages are illegal. Where did that idea come from, and what are you hoping people can learn from this film?
Full stop. If you don't have sovereignty over your own body, you don't have anything. You don't have freedom. I don't know. Like it's weird to think about 2024 and we're still voting on women's bodies, and I'm kind of sick of it. So, Steve and I came up with this idea. Steve is the other half of Nile Noctum Films. We are both producers as well, and just needed to make a little gritty psychological and supernatural horror film on things that really bother me.
Fayna, you play Mia, the main focus of the film. And there's one point in the film where you haunt yourself. You appear at the foot of the bed, drag yourself up the length of your body, and scream murder into your face. How was that effect achieved, and how much fun was it to scare the shit out of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of my favorite film scenes to film. And, really, that was like end of the day one night. And we got to just really play, which was really fun. We were just kind of finding it in the moment. And so technically we had, it's a really kind of fun shot to do because it's a double in the bed and I got to play both. So I think it ended up being a really good trick that it turned out to be. But I think the thing that was most fun to play was both sides. Someone who is, terrified and the terrifier. And I think that it worked out really well in the end product.
Now, Vincent, your character, Mark, we were introduced to him right away. And what I like about the way the film plays out is that we're not entirely sure who he is or what his relationship is to Mia right away. Because, we start with the newsreel footage and we're like, well, who's this guy? And we sort of learn about him as the film goes on. Tell me about approaching Mark and revealing him in layers.
I mean, that was the really fun thing about Mark, all the layers. There's the aspect of Mark who really cares about Mia, and then there's this manipulation side of Mark. I'd always heard that, when you squeeze a lemon, lemon juice comes out. When people are under stress, you get to really see who they are. And when Mark is stressed, you kind of see a little bit of darkness, and that was really fun for me. I think Mark is a classic narcissist, and another thing that was fun for me was just showing the stages of manipulation. Mia talks about having the perfect life, and I see that from afar, and I wanted that. I'm someone who stops at nothing to get what he wants, and I hope that comes through, and that was the kind of like meaty part of it for me.
Izzy, tell me about telling this story about the sovereignty of women's bodies, about domestic violence, about psychological abuse through the lens of a ghost story?
I did not have an easy time writing this, as you can imagine. Co-wrote it with my partner Steve. He came up with the overall concept of a house arrest, which is like, oh, you can't leave, so how do you survive? And then I'm like, and let's add some social political stuff to this, because I'm not having a great time. And I know a lot of women have not been having a great time since 2016. So what can we do about it? How can we express our frustrations and fears and anxieties through the lens of horror, which is the greatest gift that I know in terms of storytelling? And, you know, I just, I had the greatest time casting this, and it took forever. Vince, I had in mind from the beginning because of a short film that we were paired with, Meat Friend, which was a Fangoria Chainsaw nomination last year in 2023, was paired with The Blood of the Dinosaurs. And so we ran into him a lot on the festival circuit. So I'm like, this guy can do intimidating and spooky and scary really well. Let's utilize him. And then for Fayna, I had some really specific character traits in mind, and it took 9 months to find her. And I'm so glad I did, because I wasn't gonna do the movie unless I found the perfect actor for this. And she just knocked it out of the park from the first audition, callback, adjustments made immediately, like perfectly, and on set. We had sort of what called what turned into a joke, no notes, because I didn't have to direct her hardly at all. And I would just have to go over it and just be like, hey, by the way, you're doing great. No notes. Because I think she was afraid that like I wasn't directing her enough, but she didn't need the direction. So thank you, Fina. Thank you, Vince.
Final, let's talk about your performance as Mia. Mia goes through the entire gamut of human emotion. I know a lot of people think that horror and terror and thriller films are very pigeonholed, but I find the wealth of human drama playing out in films like these. And you have moments of elation, you have moments of even sensual excitement, and you also you have a great arc. You're victimized, but you're also taking care of yourself. You're also standing up for your own sovereignty. Tell me about playing this character and like the journey that you took to understand Mia.
Yeah, I mean that's what drew me to the role in the first place is the complexity of Mia's story, and how kind of far this character had to go to tell this story in a real and an authentic way. I also think that horror is the best genre for storytelling. I think that you can't tell a true, authentic, real life story without horror. We experience horror every single day. And so it's my favorite genre to tell stories with too. So when I read the script, I was like, oh gosh, like, can I do this? Because for me, I wanted to tell Mia's real authentic story. And in doing that, that means putting yourself in a position where not only grief, which is its own vulnerable, scary thing to portray in a real way, but also the like poor choices that one makes when they're trying to heal from grief or just literally live day by day. And that was an aspect of the role that really got me excited was, can I face my own poor choices or my own tendencies to make maybe not the best choice in order to just feel good for a minute and not feel alone and not feel just horrible. And so that was a real that was an aspect that I really wanted to dive into and see Do I have the guts to go there? And you know, all I can say is that having Vince as my partner in crime in this story and being able to go through this journey with him was an absolute pleasure because he brought it every single day. And having these, I'm a theater kid, so like the words are the thing. Uh, so just, really kind of committing to these words, committing to these characters, and really just trying to ground, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. There's a lot of spooky, crazy, supernatural things. But what was like my most important goal, the thing I wanted to do, was really ground this in a place where hopefully that comes through, that you believe that this is happening, and want to see kind of how she navigates through this wild world.
I think there's quite a lot of the film that is very plausible and is probably happening around the nation. Tell me about bringing some of these legendary horror directors into your circle and into your film.
I've known these guys for a little bit on and off here and there, and they're friends, and Mick and Joe are in particular both really, really, really nice guys. I mean, um, Mick's production company, I think, is called Nice Guy Productions, but beyond that, they're both very, very kind. And I wanted to just have the warmth and comfort of some of my friends. And so I asked around and, who's available? Is Joe available? Joe. Because I know Joe's could totally do this if I ask and he's available and he's not on location somewhere. And he was like, oh, hell yeah. um, and he's very, very supportive. I love his podcast with Adam Green, The Movie Crypt. And a couple years ago, I was living in LA and we had moved back to Massachusetts. And this is, a bit back, but that podcast really helped me get through the stress of that move and reacquainting back home and sort of resetting. So it means a lot to me that Joe's in the movie, and I don't know if I've told him this yet. And so this will be a fun surprise for him. But yeah, and then Mick is always down for anything as well. So yeah, I'm really delighted that they both had cameos in my first feature film. It feels really nice to have cool friends.
Yeah, so it's the community, and that's what I love about horror films and the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival in particular. It's such a great community. All these different filmmakers from different walks of life come together to tell stories that are universal, that do really bring us all together. So I think it's fantastic. I also think there's some standout performances, again, from these two in this film, and I think this is going to be a great jumping off point. So I'd love to ask, Fayna, what are you working on next?
Oh, I'm not allowed to say, but I'm actually a writer as well, and I have a script that I'm going to be doing festivals with, and my big goal is to hopefully get that made, find money from falling from the sky to make that. But I also just had a anthology come out on Amazon, Vudu, Apple Plus, whatever, all of the streaming things, called Tenants. So you could catch me there.
Vincent, what are you working on right now?
We just wrapped a feature in Franklin, Louisiana called The Cramps, a period piece. It's another horror film. The director's awesome, Brooke H. Sellers. She won Overlook Film Festival last year. But it's about a young girl dealing with monstrous cramps, and also finding her voice and fitting in. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Excellent. And you said that this is your feature debut, but I know that you've been working steadily with short films and you're on the festival circuit a lot. Do you have your next feature in mind already, or you're already working on it? Tell me where you're at.
Hopefully, a producer or financier will get back to me about some projects soon, but I don't know. I've been trying to get several things off the ground. Hopefully, House of Ashes being out will change things. But I also do have a book out, I Can See Your Lies, through Dark Matter Inc. And that is also a very, very, very spooky story. It's about a woman who actually has the ability to know when people are lying to her, because it's a power I've wished that I've always had. And she sees these powers developing in her young daughter, but also she's got a little matter of trying to find out of what happened to her missing Hollywood mother who disappeared in 1979, a rising star. And there's a lot of spooky possession things going on there too. So please check it out.
Nice. And I noticed that the book does make a cameo in the film. So for those of you watching who are going to watch the movie, keep your eyes peeled. You're going to see the book in there. Thank you all so much for talking to me today, and congratulations on this feature being screened at the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival. I really appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
So much. Thank you.
This is the BTRP Media Network.